Hello aspirants, welcome back to the daily news analysis of the Hindu newspaper. So this is a free initiative brought to you by Transform Maths Academy. In this particular video session, we shall be looking into the articles which shall be extremely important for the preliminary exam as well as for the mains examination. So let us begin with our discussion for 28th of January 2019. So under the front page, we have this news which talks on, in Tamil Nadu, Modi hits out at critics of 10% quota. So this is on additional information, as we know that the reservation is being given for the people who belong to the education, that is for the people of economically weaker sections. So on laminate of this year, there are certain people from Tamil Nadu. It's been said that Mr. Modi is stating is that they are creating a suspicion over the mistrust among the people of the new quota system. So to whatever the amendment had given for a creation of 10% reservation, so they are saying that there are self-centered forces in Tamil Nadu who are actually trying to create an atmosphere of suspicion and mistrust among the people in the new quota. So this is basically the issue to what they're trying to highlight out here, and that has been the entire part, as we know that 10% reservation, and this is what the issue was being coming from the center people like Mr. Modi, who's trying to focus that it is creating an mistrust among the people on the new quota. So this is about it. We have nothing much to deal with. This is like what would be the pros and cons and what would be the other following informations the person should know once there is reservations or alterations for the same. And this news is a continuation, as we know that the ICICI Bank directors or the chairmen were being arrested with respect to the scams which has been involved. So on laminate of that, the CBI transfers the officer for delay in ICICI Bank loan case probe. So this is basically on the internal inquiry which has been undertaken. So under page 3 we have this news. The Odisha government transfers the funds to sharecroppers under the new scheme. So this is basically which is part of your GS paper 3 under the economic section. So there is a new scheme which has been taken place with respect to, which is called as in Kalya scheme. So Kalya, which actually stands for Krushak Assistance for Livelihood and Income Augmentation, as you can see here. So there is a new scheme which has been there. So this scheme has been launched by the Odisha government, where they wanted to accelerate the agricultural prosperity and reduce the poverty in the state. So on laminate of this, the details of the entire part or the eligibility criteria is what you need to get in detail. Much before that, first and foremost, this particular scheme is being released in Odisha state, and there is another scheme as similar to this which is called as in Right to Bandhu scheme, which is in Telangana. So the coverage, whom all would be covered under this particular scheme, is purely the people who are from the small and the marginal farmers, landless agriculture households, vulnerable agriculture households, landless agricultural laborers, and the sharecroppers. So they would actually call to be as an actual cultivators. But the interest-free crop loans would be with respect to for all of these people to whom I just said on. And the tenants and the sharecroppers will also be included under this particular scheme. The financial assistance would be provided, which actually differs from the categories to what they belong to. So beneficiaries would actually be different on these perspectives. So the main criteria or eligibility to be a part of this particular scheme, one should know is that basically, as we discussed, the actual cultivators, small, marginal, landless agricultural households, each of them would be there. The small and the marginal farmers are actually getting benefited if they have been having almost like a financial, they would be getting a financial assistance of nearly 25,000 per family over the 5 seasons. So basically they wanted to support the cultivators, and at the same time you should also know that if it is to be noted as small farmer, then he should own 1 acre, that is with respect to 2.5 acres to 2 acres of agricultural land. If he is a marginal owner, then anything which he owns less than 1 acre of the agricultural land. So based on the criteria is what they would be setting up. But for any people who are called as in landless agricultural houses, then the financial assistance would be given of nearly 12,500. So this is the amount to what they would actually be given, 12,500. And moreover, the vulnerable and agriculture households will also be covered with respect to 10,000 rupees to what would be the amount being given to them. 10,000 would be the financial, kind of an assistance per year basis under the Kalya scheme. And moreover, this is also they give up with the life insurance support and interest-free crop loans for all the categories of the beneficiary which are being coming under the assistance of the Kalya scheme. So basically they support the cultivators for cultivation, they give the livelihood support for the landless agriculture households, and also give the financial assistance to all the agriculture household people who have been vulnerable, and all the beneficiaries will avail only one benefit as per the eligibility, so they would be able to do better. So this is one of the new scheme to what the Odisha government has given, where they would be getting, the farmers would be getting a cash assistance during the 6th crop season over the 3 years time period. As I said you in the initial part itself, as similar, there's another scheme which has been started up by Telangana, where again in Telangana they give a farmers in investment support scheme, and that is also which has been called as Raita Bandhu. So this is something that you have to know, where they would be giving twice a year for Kharif and the Rabi crops. So there's almost like more than 75% of the agriculture land in Telangana is under the control of the small and the marginal farmers, and that is the reason to why they had to ensure this kind of a schemes has been given much of importance, and the marginal and the small farmers would be benefited in the immense part. So that is the whole idea to why the government has been coming up with these kinds of schemes. So you need to get in touch with these schemes, as UPSC would question you all on which of the schemes has been introduced, what's the purpose, what is the aim, the objective, and the state level. So that's about it. On the page 6 we have this news: the jumbos to patrol Odisha's Satkosia Tiger Reserve. So this is basically with respect to the Satkosia Tiger Reserves. Here the 2 trained elephants, they would be actually patrolling the Satkosia Tiger Reserves, and these 2 elephants are being brought from the Simlifal Tiger Reserves. So this Simlifal is another tiger reserve which has been there. So this step was purely taken by, because the year they wanted to resume the ambitious tiger reintroduction program in the Satkosia. So this has been one of the ambitious program. For that to happen, they have to ensure that these kinds of a step would be undertaken for any such kind of an ambitious project of reintroducing of the tigers in the Satkosia Tiger Reserves. So again, Satkosia has been a very long there in your newses, and you should understand a little basic about it. So basically this Satkosia Tiger Reserve was been established in 1976, and it is one of the wildlife sanctuary, and the area was being declared to be as a reserve in 2007. And this is one of the meeting point of 2 biogeographic regions of India. One is the Deccan Peninsula and the Eastern Ghats, where they have been contributing to the immense biodiversity of the country. So these are the 2 important informations that one should definitely know when it comes to the Satkosia Tiger Reserves, as these are being repeatedly there in the news from a very long time. So you cannot tend to miss on these aspects. So try to get more details about the Satkosia Tiger Reserve. But as of now, to ensure that the reintroduction of the tigers are happening in a much more ambitious and successful way, we are trying to train the 2 trained elephants to patrol the Odisha's Tiger Reserve. So any casualties can be avoided to the must. That's to the large. So this is that. Towards the corner on the left hand side of the paper, you could see Train 18 named Vande Bharat Express. So this is like India's the first indigenously built engineless semi-high speed train. So this train is actually named to be as Train 18, and now it is being named to be as Vande Bharat Express. So this train is the one which would be going between Delhi and Varanasi with a maximum speed of nearly 160 kilometers per hour. And moreover, this train is a part of Make in India project, and it is also the one which most of the project, half of the cost is been actually been imported. And Train 18 is a flagship train set, and this is one of the first prototype being built by the Integral Coach Factory. So this is one of the thing which has been set up in Chennai, Integral Coach Factory, and they have been done up with a record time of nearly 20 months. And the ministry, you should know that it is the Railway Ministry, which is the one which comes underneath. And moreover, the speciality of this particular train is that it is a self-propelled engineless train. So basically similar to the metro trains itself, and this is one which they would be having facilities of LED lights and energy efficiency lights as well. So they would be able to do the automatic doors and retractable footsteps as well. So it is purely interconnected with the GPS system passenger information, and they're also been having with the biotalents. So this biotalents is something where it is again one of the most specific thing that you need to know, which is what is being given in the indigenously built fastest train 18, which is being named as Vande Bharat Express. So this is about it. So under your page 9, that is under the opaque page, you have a very important note, that is a model for malaria control. So this is basically the World Health Organization's World Malaria Report of 2018 is being released. So this is one of the report which talks about the content with respect to India. So as per the report, India is the only country among the 11 highest burden countries that saw substantial progress in reducing the disease burden. So that disease burden, you can see almost like 24% of the decrease in 2017, which is being compared to 2016. The main significance is that here they wanted to show that India is now becoming a country where it is towards trying to end the malaria, and the burden and the success of the country is where both of them, the success and the burden, is being coming hand to hand, and they wanted to tackle the malaria head on, whatever the casualties has been happening. So India's efforts in this regard to what they have put forward is that, so India's progress in fighting the malaria has been a very long process, and the outcome is now seen that India is trying to come up with a malaria program, is a country owned and a country led program. And this is the one which is an globally accepted strategies. But you could also see, as you can see on the screen, that the East Asia Summit in 2015, so India had actually taken a pledge that it wanted to eliminate the disease by 2030. So following this public declaration, India had also launched a 5-year national strategic plan for malaria elimination, and the plan provides for a roadmap where they wanted to achieve the target of ending the malaria in 571 districts out of India's 678 districts of 2022. So out of 678 districts, they wanted to end the malaria to achieve the target with nearly 571. The majority, 3/4 of the one, should be get completely achieved. And this is one of the important aspects that one should know, that the East Asia Summit in 2015 is what India took a pledge, and this has almost shown a 24% decrease in comparative to 2016. So this has set a platform to the other country in return. And what is that they have to plan furtherly is that, so whatever they have been planned, so the plan would almost require like 10,000 crores. So this is one of the adequate investments which would be combined with the coordinated actions, where there would be between the governments, the civil societies, as well as the philanthropic donors in imperative to achieve this particular goal. Since then is what the state subject, because we know that the health is belonging to the state subject, the state governments across the country should have a shoulder to shoulder special responsibility in tackling the disease. And based on that is what the entire move has been moving towards. And laminate of it, there is another initiative which is called as an Dhamman, as you can see here, Dhamman, which is called as an Durgama Anchalare Malaria Niharkaran initiative. So this again one of the initiative, as we saw the Odisha government, so it's the same Odisha government which has taken, and this initiative is all about where they wanted to deliver a services to the most inaccessible and the hardest hit people of the state, so that they would be able to inbuild the innovative strategies where they would be able to combat with the malaria and also the causality with respect to the malarias. So this program is jointly implemented by the ICMR, that is the Indian Council of Medical Research, and the National Institute of Malaria Research. And apart from that, there is another one which is called as the National Vector-Borne Disease Control, and followed with respect to Odisha Medicines for Malaria Vector. So this is one of the few of the important organizations where they have come together and they wanted to make sure this Dhamman initiative has become a successful initiative, and they wanted to ensure that the elimination program can be tackled with the proper innovative strategies. So this is all about the report to what has been released by the World Health Organization of 2018 report. So whatever the points are highlighted, so those are the most important things that you need to get in touch with. So this is about it. So on the page 13, the SFIO probed SL group for double links. So this basically with respect to SFIO is nothing but a serious fraud investigation office. So this is one of the office which comes under the Ministry of the Corporate Affairs. So this is one of the multidisciplinary organization that would actually investigate and guide the prosecution in a white collar fraud. So where are the people who have been expertise in forensic auditing or with respect to information technology or taxation, capital laws, corporate laws and other allied fields. So this was the one which was been established in 2003, which was based on the recommendation of the Chandra Committee. Basically they call it as Naresh Chandra Committee. So as you can see here, on the corporate audit and the governance. So this is actually the one sort of an office which received the statutory powers under the Companies Act of 2013. So basically they would be making the rules where they would be giving the powers to make the arrest, which came into year 2017. So this was the latest one which was being added to it. On laminate of it, this was to be understood that here the SR group had been linked purely with respect to regarding the certain transactions that the documents were being provided. So this was one of the promoters where they had been met with the lenders with whom the shares were being pledged and arrived at an understanding that a default won't be declared due to shortfall in the share prices. So as this was one of the fishiest thing to what is being recorded as per the SFIO, they are trying to come up with this particular expertising, and they wanted to understand to what is this case is all about and what is that they have to get it done. So basically the promoters and the lenders have been arriving at an understanding on declaring a default if the share prices actually fall sharply. So these are the cases which belonging to the expertise groups would be referred and would be assigned to the SFIO based on the scale of the financial misappropriation or to the extent of public interest in that particular stake. So this is what you need to know, as SR group for the demo links and their details would not be required for us. We need to get in touch only with this office which is called as in serious fraud investigation office. So this is the most important one apart from the SR group links. This not is required for us, but this becomes important. So that's the reason I try to highlight that. And then comes the high use of input credit under the taxman scanner. So basically this is part of your paper which comes under your GS paper 2 as well as for your GS paper 3. So even before we could kickstart the details about like the input tax credit, you need to understand why it has become a news. So basically this is one of the concerns to what they have been using is that over the decline in the GST revenues, because the GST revenues as per the tax officials are being examined, it's not up to the mark. And also they have been stating is that the high usage of the input tax credit are actually been to set off the tax liability by the businesses. So now we'll understand to what is a input tax credit. So you people should know that the last class we did this on the input tax credit. So basically this is a tax that a business pays on a purchase, and that is the one which uses to reduce its tax liability when they make a sale. So when they make a purchase, they actually put the taxes, they have been liable to pay the taxes, but when they actually make the sale, there would be a reduction in the tax liability. In other words, to make it very simple, we could understand that the businesses can reduce the tax liability by claiming their input tax credit on the extent of the GST paid on the purchases. So this is one of it, and most of the businesses are under the composition scheme and they cannot avail for an input tax credit because the ICT cannot be claimed for a person who used for the goods that are actually being exempted. So this cannot be used as the goods have been under the exempted list, so that GST would not be giving them any sort of an input tax credit. So one of the most positive features of the GST to what can be taken into consideration is that first thing, it will help to avoid the undesirable cost which is called as a cascading effect, because you already paid 1,000 rupees as a tax when you did a purchase, but when you sell a purchase as well, on that 1,000 rupees there would be another 10% of the taxes which would be attracted, and that is what you need to pay in return. But this ICT is something where the input tax credit would be avoidable. It's undesirably a cascading effect, so they wanted to end this. But in case of GST, there is a mechanism which is called as an input tax credit. So they wanted to eliminate the cost of the cascading on the pre-GST tax regime itself. But there's no, what I feel under the GST, there is not cost which can be actually incurring. First of all, most of the taxes have been merged under a single tax, and the second one is with respect to input tax credit. And since we have already done the classes on this, so I don't have to explain you all in detail. So you need to just refresh and see the notes to whatever I've given in the handouts. But the main concerns over this is purely they've been doubting on the sort of a misuse to what can be done. So you can see here that there have been 80 to 20% of deposited as a cash. So basically as much as 80% of the total GST liability is being settled by the ITC and only 20% deposited as the cash which is being done. So the present suspension to whatever is being there, this is having a sort of no provision for a real time matching of the ITC claims with the taxes which is already paid by the supplier of the inputs. So basically there could be a possibility of the misuse of this particular provision to what they would be also trying to generate with the fake invoices just to claim the tax credit. So this fake invoices is what is becoming a problem as of now, and that is the reason they're stating is what this has to be tackled, and this matching should be done on the basis of the system generated GSTR 2A. So basically this would be one of the thing which what they have to do. If they really wanted to claim and they wanted to find it a genuine claim, then it should be a system generated GSTR 2A. So based on that only they will be able to ensure that the person would be getting up with the IT claims, and the revenue department can also send notices to the business if suppose they are trying to mismatch on the GSTR 2A. So currently there is a lot of time gaps between the ITC, that's the input credit tax, as well as with respect to claim, and that is one of the reasons to why most of them are using this platform claiming on the basis of the fake invoices. So most of them are going only for these kinds of sources, and this need to be assessed in a proper regimetic way, and they have to ensure that the return filing of the system should be purely produced and proposed in a proper aspects, and once it becomes operational, and that department should be the one which will be able to match the ITC claims and also pay the taxes on a real time basis. So this becomes more of an analytically thing that they would be able to give only for a genuine people and not for the fake invoices, and they need to take a corrective actions for the same. If they're not able to take it, then the things would actually not fall in place. So GST shortfall is prompt where the centers to come up with these kinds of issues, and they need to sort it on the same. So this is one of the most important coverage that one should know with respect to input tax credit. So on the same page we have this, the Kelkar mode setting up of Niti Aayog 2.0. So this is again part of your GS paper 3, and basically we are talking about the Niti Aayog. So the former Finance Commission Chairman Mr. Vijay Kalkar, he had actually recommended to set up with Niti Aayog 2.0. So this is purely in order to empower it for allocating the capital as well as the revenue grants to the states. So that was the main context to why they even thought of about it. But there are certain recommendations to what has been given, and those recommendations are nothing but where the Niti Aayog 2.0 would be the most responsible for allocating the development and also for the transformational capitals, and this would be one of the capital as well as the revenue grants to what they have to give to the states. So this is one of the most argued one, as we know that the Niti Aayog is the one which replaced the Planning Commission, and this is something where they wanted to promote a regional balanced growth in India. So on limelight of that, the Niti Aayog has reduced the government's policy reach as much as possible. So in this regard is what the Niti Aayog wanted to annually need the resources of nearly 1.5 to 2% of the GDP to provide a sustainable grants to the states for mitigating the development of the imbalances. So this is another important structural issues which can be seen out here. As per the recommendation is what they're asking, that they would require more of them. So this is something they need to ensure that, and Niti Aayog need to be not only involved in the approval of the state's annual expenditure but also for the programs in return. So they need to come up with proper effective new Niti Aayog, and this would be completely on a high table of decision making to the government in return. If they are able to achieve it, and then they would be able to actually put the things under a proper perspectives. So that is about the main concept to what is being there, and you should understand to what made the need for Niti Aayog 2.0. It's purely where they wanted to reduce the government's policy reach. That's all about it, and they wanted to set up an institution where their job at their hand related to structural issues can actually be removed with respect to it, and also regional imbalance in the country in the economy can be taken out in a larger aspect. And another important aspect, this is one of the concept where they're moving towards India's new fiscal federalism, and that is another thing, and basically this is about it. And we cannot wind up without understanding the composition of Niti Aayog. So Niti Aayog composition becomes extremely important for us, as UPSC is been targeting about the composition, as you know that Niti Ayog 75, that is with respect to anniversary or with the Independence Day 75, there's a report also which is being come as a draft. So on limelight of that, it becomes important for us to understand there would be a chairperson, and the chairperson is nothing but the Prime Minister for Niti Ayog, and there would be a governing council where the CMs of the states, that the chief ministers and the lieutenant governors of the UTs would be called as the governing councils. There is another council which is called as a regional council. So this regional council is purely which has been formed on the need basis, where they would be comprising the CMs and the lieutenant governors of the region. The members are full-time basis, and when it comes to the part-time members, maximum there would be 2 people, and that would be on a rotational basis so that they would be able to get with the relevant institutions. But there are also ex-officio members. Purely they are the members of maximum 4 from the Council of Ministers, and these ex-officio members are the people who have been nominated by the Prime Minister. And the special invitees, obviously for any sort of an or documentations, they would be requiring like experts, specialists or practitioners with the domain knowledge can also be a part of it. And there is also a secretariat which is being deemed as per as the necessary. And there would be one chief executive officer who would be appointed by the Prime Minister for a fixed tenure, and he would be having a secretariat rank. So basically you should understand Niti Ayog chairman is nothing but the Prime Minister. Then we have the governing councils and the regional councils. So these are the main people that you need to get in touch with. So this becomes an extreme part of your Niti Ayog composition. So you can also expect a mains question with respect to the Niti Ayog and the governance in the country. So on the page 14 we have this, the state of play. So if anyone interested, you can go on with respect to this. So this also is quite an important one, like for 5 years what is that they would be doing. So then based on that, all India per capita income and all India per capita income would be shown it out here. So that's it. So we didn't had any of the important news from your life column. So by this we have come to the end of the video discussion. So these were the most important articles which should be extremely important for your civil service examination. So hope so this particular video would help you in your preparations, and work hard till you accomplish. Never give up to whatever the circumstances comes on to you. Thank you and have a very nice day.